A few years ago, I walked into the living room and smiled at my little sister. She looked at me and immediately began to cry. She started crying so hysterically that my other sister walked into the room, looked at me, and was in shock. Shouted, "Your mouth." I dashed to the mirror and began to cry as soon as I looked at the mirror. My mouth was deformed, and half of my face seemed paralyzed. Once we got to hospital and they ran the MRI scan, they diagnosed me with Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy is a condition which affects the nervous system and the brain, which caused my facial paralysis. During this time, I felt ugly. I hated looking at myself in the mirror, and whenever anyone would try to lie to me that I looked pretty, I would cry, and I felt as though my self-esteem was damaged. For a very long time, I was on steroids, and I kept doing physiotherapy twice a day. My parents became more overprotective than they used to be, and at this time, I hated being at home, and I couldn't wait to get back into university. So once I got back to university, I chose a different lifestyle. I wanted to embrace the independence and the freedom. But how much freedom is too much freedom? Initially, my first and second semester ran quite smoothly. I was appointed as an intercultural ambassador, and I bagged a leadership and research scholarship. But at some point, I took too much freedom on my side, and I began to party too much. My Friday nights turned out, instead of having movies, I would spend my nights club hopping from city to city in England. So at the end of each party, you definitely have to clean up your mess. But my mess was one hell of a mess. I lost my scholarship, and I began to fail most of my legal core modules. When you fail your legal core modules, that means you can't be admitted to the bar of England. So my university then downgraded my degree into a BA in legal studies. And once I came to Kenya School of Law to ask the lady at the reception, she smiled and nonchalantly said, "We don't recognize that degree here." So in a moment of confusion, I went back into Leeds and I asked my personal tutor, "Do you think I can resit some of these modules?" And she says, "Yes." So the day I was to resit my modules was the same day my grandfather was being buried. So I decided to skip the resits and go on for my grandfather's burial. Now, at this point in time, I had no other solutions because they said, "Well, you've got to stay on to BA in legal studies." My mom and dad said, "Well, just get the degree and graduate and we'll see what else we could do." But I didn't want that for myself, so I dropped out. I spent this period of 6 months self-destructing even further. But at some point, I snapped back into reality and I decided I wanted to go and finish what I started. So I then went back to uni, joined a different university, and completed my law degree and graduated with a 2:1. It would make this more juicy if I said I graduated with a first-class honors and I was the best student, but I still had a few things that I wanted to work on within myself. So I started to see a counselor, but I didn't like what she would tell me. And then I would read self-help books, and I hated everything I read inside them. So then I went on and I published my own book. I said it's the opposite of a self-help book, and it's a cry for help. And I wrote different issues of an African woman living in such a dynamic modern world. My issues on money, savings, love, and all the different insecurities I had with myself. From then on, I went on and I established Krevid Mulya in 2015 to help empower and inspire other women who had issues and didn't have any faith or hope in themselves. In 2016, we had it launched again in Tanzania and is represented by the Bridget Alfred Foundation. Right now, Krevid Mulya is run by 80% women, for women. We champion legal rights, women's health, and champion education in the rural areas. Today, I decided to give myself a second chance. I believe in giving myself several chances before anyone else does. Allow yourself to take several chances, second, third, fourth, or fifth. Never allow yourself to regret anything that happened in your life. For me, I decided to give myself these chances, and today I'm living my best life. And today when I smile at my sister, I'm proud to report that she smiles back. Thank you.